All right, breaking news today for the Seminoles as they pick up another commitment in the class of 2025, this time a player in the secondary that I'm excited to talk with you guys about. But if you are tuned in, if you are watching, if you're with us, I never ask for this on recruiting commit videos, but make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you for clicking on the video, checking us out, but make sure that you don't miss any of these in the future that we do. Max Redmon commits to the Seminoles today, and he is honestly, Florida State's been kind of going off in the trenches. Finally got a little bit more going to the secondary. They got Zay Thomas last week. Now with Max Redmon, they've got a couple of commits back there in the secondary. And this is one that I think Florida State is really, really excited about. He's 6'1" and change, nearly 6'2", 190 pounds, goes to Cardinal Newman High School there in West Palm Beach. Probably projects as a safety for the Seminoles. We'll talk about that, how there's maybe a little bit of a question around it in just a moment, but a really, really effective player. Has about the same stats year over year, 64 tackles here in his junior year, 10 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. He had a couple of interceptions, one of them being a pick six. Also had both a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. This is kind of fun. He caught 6 passes on the offensive side of the ball for 68 yards, also had a touchdown. He had a 65-yard reception for a touchdown on his one and only catch his sophomore year. Fun little tidbit there. Pretty versatile, can get in the offensive side of the ball and kind of mix it up too. Certainly not where he plays a lot. He plays a lot of linebacker and safety, but can get over on that side of the ball and kind of make some things happen. Had a touchdown each year, and then add to that the defensive touchdown that he took back this last year. And then he played hoops and played pretty well there. Averaged 10 points a game, just under 5 rebounds a game, 2.5 assists a game, runs track. I think he competes in like 8 or so different track competitions, from the 100-meter, 200, long jump and some other stuff. So really, really diversified athlete. Dude absolutely plays and competes in everything. Ran an 11.3 in the 100-meter, not blazing fast, but he moves pretty well and moves pretty quick. I wouldn't call it elite speed by any means, but he does really run well. And that 11.3 was, I believe, in his sophomore year. So I haven't seen a confirmed time of anything super recent. I know that Mike Norvell saw him down in a satellite camp down in South Florida and really, really liked him. And that's where Florida State offered and continued to move on him. Now you're going to look at his offer list, and you're going to look at the schools that he took official visits to, and you're going to have some questions. USF, Illinois is the other 2 schools. Well, you know, USF is where DeMarcus Van Dyke is. You know that there's some talented prospects that are in that Central Florida area, or talented coaches that are in that Central Florida area looking at kids down in West Palm Beach. And, you know, I don't let the offer list scare you on this. I think Florida State really, really likes this prospect. He's super physical. He's really solid in the run game. And don't be surprised if he starts to pick up more and more offers, more schools kind of coming after him, trying to get him to flip. We'll talk about where he kind of projects and what his game may do over the next several months that he has his senior season. But Florida State really likes this pickup. He wraps up well. He's really strong for his size. He's not afraid at all to get in the middle of the action and make plays. He can play at linebacker as well. His size kind of lends itself to that. He's pretty quick. Again, talked about his track time. He's not blazing speed by any means, any stretch of the imagination, and he's certainly going to need to progress this year and then more than likely at least a year or so once he gets to campus. But he's got a really good frame. Again, just a shade under 6'2". He grew a ton over the last year. If you see any more size be put on this year and he gets over that 6'2" threshold, I think you're looking at a prospect that Florida State really likes his length. They really like his playmaking ability. Dude is an athlete that just plays everything, very natural at everything. And I'm excited about seeing what he can do once he gets on campus. We talk all the time about Pat Surtain, but you know, obviously Coach Storms as well. Once he gets into a Division I, a Power 4 weight room and one of the better strength and conditioning programs in the country, what does he look like in 2 years' time from now, which is maybe when you start to think about what kind of impact he can make. Talk about where he's going to play in just a moment. I know there's some questions there not really questions, but maybe just some versatility that I think you'll really, really like to hear about. But first, I do want to give some love to our friends over at gotspears.com. Now, for $100 right now, you can get a 6-foot spear, which is kind of an unheard of price. That's typically an in-person price. If you pick up something on the day of the game, if he's got any extra up there, by Madso where he sets up, $165 for the 6-foot spear with the torch. Listen, if you're local, you can coordinate a pickup at any time by texting John. His number is there on the website. And if you're not local, you're just going up for a game or two this year, you can give him a couple of weeks heads up for whichever game you're coming to. He'll make sure he brings your spear. You don't have to pay for rush shipping. You don't have to wait an exorbitant amount of time to get your spear. Listen, gotspears.com. I've got mine right here in the corner. Don't have it handy where I can grab it and show you, but got mine right here in the corner. The best spears that you can buy, they're the ones that you see all the commits using and everything else. Make sure that you go to gotspears.com to pick yours up today before this season gets started. All right, I think Max can play both safety or potentially kind of a nickel role. I think he can cover a little bit. Obviously, he's pretty good there. Got good enough ball skills to really get by there. But also, I think he can come up and help in the run a little bit and almost play. I don't want to call him a linebacker. I don't want to say he's going to play linebacker for Florida State. We've had our linebacker woes at recruiting. I'm not telling you this is a fix for that at all. They like him as a safety. But I do think he can come and supplement in kind of that linebacker role where Florida State has guys playing closer to the line of scrimmage. I mean, they've done that over 3 coaching staffs now over the last 10 years from, Derwin going all the way back to, obviously the way that Jamie Robinson played and the way that others have played too, getting up there and mixing up in some run formations. I think he can kind of fit that role as well. I think they really like his tackling ability. I think, secondary-wise, he's going to have to continue to develop and continue to grow. I wouldn't call him a liability, but also I don't think he's like day one ready to cover people, in that secondary. But I do think he's a fit. I think he's a fit for what Florida State likes to do, the way they ask a lot of their safeties to be really good tacklers, to make impact plays in the run game, and I think he can certainly do that. I do think something that's going to be big for him, a South Florida kid, is to come in and be developed under Coach Surtain. I obviously really like what he brings to the table from a recruiting and a development perspective, and this is one where you're going to need to see that. Again, this is no shot at the kid, but I don't think he's day one ready. I don't think, he's starting over anybody that's in that room at the moment, just based on his size and based on his athleticism. He's got a chance, though, to be really, really good for Florida State if he can be developed properly. And I think you've got one of the best DB developers in the country, certainly the best in the state, certainly the best in the conference in Pat Surtain. Is Florida State done at safety? Can they add more? Lots of questions around that. I do really like them to continue to push for other prospects. I don't think they're done in some places. Kid that committed to Bama that I think Florida State really liked. There's another prospect, Bryce Fitzgerald, that I think Florida State really, really likes. I think they'll continue to push here, and I certainly think that they would add at least one more to that class. Florida State likes what it has in the DB room a lot right now. Need to keep adding to it, continue to get that room better, raise the ceiling, raise the floor. Wouldn't be surprised either to see Max kind of rise in the rankings throughout the year. Talked about that. Certainly, people are going to look at it and say, "Oh man, just took OVs to USF and Illinois." You'll see some bigger names start to offer now. You'll see now that he's put on some size what his senior year looks like in a really talented hotbed area. I think you're going to see a rise in the rankings for him, and Florida State will, once again beat everybody to the scouting department and have a massive win because of it. Big shout out as always to the Battle's End. I don't know how big of an NIL factor this recruitment was. I just haven't chatted with people about it. I'm not saying it wasn't, but a big shout out to the Battle's End. Anytime we land a commitment, we like to give them a little bit of love. My quarter zip is currently in the washer, so you have to forgive me for not having it on now, but make sure that you're supporting the Battle's End if you like getting good news like this, like we've gotten today. Listen, good day for the Seminoles. They add to their recruiting class, which is top 25 on 247. It's top 10 on 3, which values the quality over the quantity at this point. But the recruiting class continues to improve. Recruiting at Florida State continues to improve. Richie and I talked about that on our very last video. You can check that out by clicking the link on the screen right now to get caught up.